Monitoring receivables. These are the techniques which are used by the credit manager in monitoring the status and composition of the accounts receivable. So first one, ratio analysis. So these are the important ratios calculated to find the effectiveness of the debtors collection. So first one, debtors turnover ratio. Debtors turnover ratio is an accounting measure used to measure how effective a company can extend a credit to its customer, as well as how effectively it is collecting its debts. The receivables turnover ratio is an activity ratio measuring how efficiently a firm uses its assets. So, next one, average credit period. So, how much time it takes to collect the amount from the customers or debtors. And next one, debtors to current assets ratio. Receivables as a percentage of current assets would reveal the size of receivables in the current assets and opportunity cost associated with it. Higher the percentage and higher is the cost of carry of the receivable. It is therefore desired that a firm needs to carry the least percentage of receivables as possible without affecting the sales value. So next one, debtors to total assets ratio. Receivables as a percentage of total assets would reveal the size of receivables in the total assets. Next one, bad debts to sales ratio. Bad debts to sales ratio helps to improve accounts receivable process for growth and scalability. And also, it gives an understanding of daily sales outstanding and aging reports. So, how old are the outstandings? We'll come up with the aging schedule. Bad debts to debtor ratio. It is also known as the direct write-off method, which uses the actual uncontrollable amount, means bad debts, divided by the accounts receivable. This is a formula, bad debts by debtors for the defined period. However, it can also provide an inaccurate picture on the balance sheet. It also provides an inaccurate picture on the balance sheet. Next one, aging schedule. This is the another technique. The aging schedule of the debtors is prepared based on the collection pattern. So accounts receivable aging reports provides the status of accounts, including credit outstanding and payments received and payment due. It can tell you which customers owe you money and how much they owe and how much of their account balances are past due. So, and this aging schedule also useful for the assessing of the company's liquidity position, efficiency of a credit control department, and to assess the efficiency of collection of receivables. And it also helpful in assessing the comparison with previous aging schedules. And it also helps to decide what action to take about older debts. It helps to identifying the quality accounts and identifying the overdue accounts and troublesome accounts. So this is the example of the aging schedule. So account number, so and so, customer name, customer by customer, it reveals the information. Balance outstanding. So how much balance still outstanding? So what is the time limit? Up to 30 days. How much he has to pay? 60 days. 60 to 90 days. Over 90 days. So these are the outstanding balances. The age schedule can also incorporate the details of individual accounts, region-wise accounts, industry sector-wise accounts. It can be prepared manually or by computer. Nowadays, everything is in computer. Next one, ABC analysis of receivables. The ABC analysis technique mainly framed for the effective control of inventory. The application of the same technique to manage the debtors balances will also give good result for the firm with huge number of accounts. See, if you observe the example table, category of debtors ABC, percentage of total accounts 20, 30, 50, and percentage of total debtors balances. So 70%, 20%, 10%. A category debtors, they're having 20% of total accounts, but their balance is 70% of the total debtors balances. So 20% of account holders are carrying 70% of the total debtors. And B category debtors. So 30% of total accounts. These people carrying 20% of the amount, and the remaining 50% of 50 in numbers. Suppose just assume this is the number of customers. So 50% of total accounts carrying only 10% of the balance amount, debtors balance. So how to deal with these type of customers? So category A has only 20% of total account, represents the 70% of total debtors balances. A close scrutiny of these accounts and a realization of dues in time is very much necessary, because they are holding 70% of the total balance. And coming to the category B, debtors balances need a moderate control, because even though they are 30% of total accounts, but they are holding 20%. Coming to the C category, what managerial person suggests is, don't waste time on concentrating these type of category of debtors, because these persons holding only 10% of the total balance, even though a moderate attention is required for the efficient management of the debtors. And next one, discriminant analysis of and credit scoring. Discriminant analysis, it is an important tool used for discriminating between good and bad accounts. So how it will be considered? By considering the readily available financial data relating to the size of firm, asset test ratio, creditors payment period. And coming to the credit scoring, it is a technique used in discriminating between good and bad accounts based on the past payment and default experience relating to a particular customer. So if any customer went default, then firm is stop to extend credit to that customer. So nowadays, banks are extending the credit by seeing CIBIL score. Next one, credit utilization report. The total limit of credit offered to each customer and the extent to which it is utilized will be reviewed on periodical basis to observe the extent to which total limits being utilized. So all this information is presented in a report for called credit utilization report. This report contains the following. So first one, number of customers who might want to more credit, and the extent to which company is exposed to debtors, limit sanctioned. In other words, limit sanctioned. The tightness of the credit policy and the degree of exposure to different customers. So limit utilized and percentage of utilization. So how much percentage they utilize? 95, say for example, 95,000 in 1 lakh, 94%. Percentage of utilization. This report gives the clear picture whether to tie the credit to customers or not. Next one, cost benefit analysis of the collection expenses. See, this is the cost benefit analysis of collection expenses. A firm has to incur some routine costs like sending reminders, telephone expenses, expenses incurred for personal visits to customer places, commission and fees payable to collection agencies, legal expenditure, etc. So these are the cost of collections. When the firm incur more cost on collection of debt, there is likely to be less amount of debt turned into bad debts and vice versa. So it is a general observation that if we incur more expenditure on collection, so we can reduce the bad debts. But how much expenditure a firm has to incur? So if keep on spending amount on collection of debt, so if it exceeds the profitability, then there is no use, right? See, firm goes on increasing the cost of collection of debt, after some time, there would not be further decrease of bad debts. See the diagram. The point is called saturation point, as shown in the figure. If the firm incur collection expenses beyond this point, cannot benefit the firm in reducing its bad debt losses. See, collection expenses. If this point exceeds, there is no use in. This is the bad debt losses portion. So a firm is spending expenditure and bad debts were keep on reducing. And at this saturation point, so still bad debts were continuing. So there is no point in spending the more expenditure. Next one, measuring days sales in terms of debtors. The total debtors represents by days sales is calculated as following 3 ways. First one, debtors turnover method. The days sales in debtors ratio represents the length of the credit period taken by the customer. So this is the illustration. Ajanta Limited made sales 30 lakhs for the year 2009, and its corresponding debtors is 4,90,000. Calculate the debtors turnover in terms of days. So debtors collection period 4 lakhs by 4 lakhs in the sense debtors by sales made into 365 days. So in 365 days, they made 30 lakhs sales. So in how many days they made 4 lakhs 90,000. So finally 60 days. So within 60 days, they're able to make the debtors. And second method, count back method. This method is based on the assumptions that the debtors balance relating to the most current period sales. Arvind Limited has a debtors balance of 15 lakhs as on 31st March 2009. Sales in March 7 lakhs, February 5 lakhs, January 8 lakhs. See, total debtors 15 lakhs and we have to deduct the March sales 7 lakhs and then February sales 5 lakhs. Finally, January sales, so unpaid portion, only unpaid portion remains 3 lakhs. So 3 lakhs is the unpaid portion. Okay, so in this 8 lakh, 5 lakh were paid. And calculation of debtors balance in days, in number of days. So March entire turnover took 31 days for 7 lakhs and February 28 days for 5 lakhs. And how many days for 3 lakhs? How many days for 3 lakhs? So 31 days took for the 8 lakhs. So 12 days for 3 lakhs. Next, third method, partial method period. This method analyzes each month's sales and unpaid portion. Each month's sales, okay, these are aggregated together to get the day's sales of debtors. The partial month method not only provides the overall debtors aging figures, but also provides month-wise debtors outstanding. So in March 2009, sales 9 lakh, unpaid 9 lakh. Okay, so 31 days. February 2009, 7 lakh 50,000, 28 days. Unpaid portion 6 lakh 20,000. It means some amount was paid. In January, they made 8 lakh sales. Out of 8 lakhs, only 4 lakhs are unpaid. Means 4 lakhs were paid. So these 4 lakhs we have to calculate in the number of days, 15 days, 15.50 days. So December 2008, they made 8 lakh 10,000. Out of that 8 lakh 10,000, only 1 lakh 80,000 is unpaid. Likewise, total sales made and total unpaid, and finally number of days for the unpaid amount.